How We Make Movies is brought to you by Microsoft Surface, Assimilate, Azo and AJA, Moviola, and Canon Hollywood. You know, we've got an audience full of independent filmmakers here. Can you talk about, or do you find any similarities between modern independent filmmakers and the pioneers of yesteryear?
Well, through my research, which I love doing, was I was reading about how movies were made. Now, if you love movies, and we all know, when you try to deal with the big business, how frustrating the business can be compared to making a film. And what was fun about reading about the pioneer days was opportunities. It's not to say anybody could walk in and do it, but there were opportunities. Things were smaller. It was a smaller, things were scaled down. There were less probably lawyers in the picture. There were less contracts and handshakes and things like that. The camera equipment, I find
they didn't have unions yet either.
No unions, which is, well, it was dangerous too. But I want to point out the Canon camera that Bobby, we're working with the 5D right there. The lightweight cameras, when sound came in, it really set film visuals backwards because of these giant sound booths and synchronized sound. Towards the middle period of silent films, they had perfected visual storytelling and placement of camera, and they could tell a story without sound and dialogue, with eyebrows and eyes and camera angles and visual language. All that went way backwards when sound came in, and what happened was, to serve to the public all these sound, they brought in a lot of stage people, and everything became dialogue driven, and the booths, everything was staged around the cameras. Well, these cameras that were affordable today for an independent filmmaker, a camera like a Canon 5D Mark II, we can make a pretty sophisticated movie today, and with a lightweight tripod, suddenly that mobility is back, and a filmmaker can do that. It doesn't take an entire corporate structure to make a film, and that's what was going on with the pioneers. They would get a film, they had their obstacles for sure, and they did deal with lawyers. The Edison people really had control over patents and things like that, which is why Hollywood ended up happening, because the birth of the industry was back on the East Coast, New Jersey and Long Island, Brooklyn, and the Edison had a patent group of 7 patent holders, and they would send out Pinkertons to break up independent films and confiscate cameras and kind of rough people up.
What were the patents on? I mean, if you could buy a camera, why can't you use it?
Camera movements.
Are you kidding me?
And film systems, and they demanded that you pay them or you can't make a movie. And
it's like
then
the
they started
filmmaking.
Well, then they started controlling the content of your movie. In some cases, some required a logo in every scene and things. So the independent-minded, and then they took a large percentage of the profit. So the true independents started moving west to get away from that.
Yeah.
And eventually they ended up in California figuring, well, we have good sunlight and year-round, we can make movies year-round. But they wanted to get as far away from all that, and the laws changed.
Right.
They were antitrust that broke that up. So I don't want to make a picture that our pioneer filmmakers had it easy. They had all kinds of rough things.
That's
One
really
of the things that we
interesting.
have to remember is you couldn't fly across the United States in 5 hours. It was a 3 or 4 day train ride.
I saw a picture of early filmmaker director Alan Dwan, who had a huge long career. But he's out in California making an early film, and he's got the jodhpurs on, the riding boots, and he's wearing a pistol while he's directing, because it was a lot more dangerous out here, and he was protecting. I also think maybe he wanted to show some authority on the set.
One way to get your
thinking about wearing
actors
a
to
pistol
listen.
from now on.
Yeah, that's one way to get your actors to listen.